Hey everybody, welcome again to Each on News. We've got Ryan DeVers. He's he works at J-SAS, and they've invented a really great product for compliance management, but not just the legal aspects of compliance, the actual entire, program of keeping you on track with your cybersecurity posture and so on. And we're going to get a bit of a demo today as well to see exactly how MSPs can leverage this technology. Ryan, first of all, man, welcome. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, Julian. Thanks for inviting me to come on today.
It's this thing is something, of course, that we know that all MSPs need to be participating in at some point. And what you guys have done is build this platform and framework to kind of help them, along the journey. But there's a lot of moving parts to compliance. So I'm here to kind of, see what goes on and actually see how exactly MSPs can leverage your platform. So without further ado, how do you want maybe to kick this off, Ryan?
What I thought I would do is talk to you today about how we can make MSPs rock stars overnight with our platform ProtechSuite. And I'll walk you through how do you operationalize this thing. We have a great product that walks you through the compliance journey, but it's also flexible enough to adapt to your processes. We don't necessarily want you to only do our frameworks and our way of doing things. If you want to, you can. However, the product is flexible enough to adapt to what processes you have in place. It will work for you to make you that much more successful with the work that MSPs do with their clients.
All right. Can't wait to see it, man. Let's go at it.
All right, Julian, when we onboard MSPs, we ask them what frameworks their clients are they looking for? And typically what we start with is by suggesting they do a cybersecurity posture assessment. So from our frameworks page here, we cross map against several popular frameworks, whether it's SOC 2, a basic security audit, CIS, cyber insurance, and we'll drill down into how some of these modules work and how ProtechSuite elevates that compliance journey from maybe something that's haphazard, elevating from spreadsheets, bringing a lot of structure and a lot of resources that MSPs can use to provide to their clients. So as I was saying, typically what we do is starting off with a basic assessment. So the way that we do that is we have the MSP meet with the client and answer some basic questions about their current posture. So for example, we may ask things like, do you have monitoring controls in place? Are your employees trained? Do you have cybersecurity controls? Once that's answered, ProtechSuite will give a score that is the foundation for having conversations with your clients. So in this case, we can see the client is at 54% for basic security. And then we can see where the improvement areas are. So right away, with just a couple of clicks, MSPs can say to their clients, you don't have a security incident response plan? Well, we can provide you with one. Your organization does not have a centralized management system. The MSP can provide one. So these are all ways that the MSPs can show these are the gaps where the organization is on day one. And as a result of the engagement, we can start checking these things off the list and improve the score over time. So clients can see firsthand how their security posture is improving. And of course, all of this is exportable to PDF. So it can be sent over email, it can be sent over instant message. You can see exactly where the organization is scoring.
So Ryan, this first just the basic security test, and it's a really great kind of like door opener,
That's
as an
exactly it.
MSP for all your clients, all their
The
clients.
MSPs are already selling all of these things and already providing these services. So it's another mechanism to introduce the organization. But also, maybe an MSP is selling some products to their clients, but there are some holes that were identified in the basic security assessment that can be plugged with other services. So you can use this as the conversation starter to say, you could be more secure. This is how you do it, and let me take you there.
Got it.
I want to show you another opportunity. When we talk about compliance, oftentimes the conversation jumps to SOC 2 or ISO 27001 or CIS or NIST. I want to show you how MSPs can talk about cyber insurance without doing anything too new. But let me show you how it works. When an organization signs up for cyber insurance, they make a declaration of things that they need to, that they are attesting to. For example, they may say we use a VPN or we apply patches as soon as they come out. These are things that they need to do in order to stay secure year round because we don't want a cyber incident to occur, but let's face it, they do. They do happen. So we want to make sure we're taking as many steps as possible to mitigate that threat. So with our cyber insurance assessment, we'll ask you questions that make sure you are staying as secure from a cyber insurance point of view as possible. Just like before with that basic security assessment, we ask you another set of questions that span from cybersecurity controls, financial controls, media, payments. It doesn't take long to answer these questions. And when you're done, it will give you this score. Just like before, it's a great conversation starter to say, this is where you are at the start. Oh my, you're only at 32% compliant. But as a result of engagements, we're taking you to 70 and then 90 and then 100. We're really elevating how secure an organization is.
So
Now,
Brian, I'm also
yeah,
assuming here that you can then demonstrate to the insurance provider, right? That here are the things that we have done, and you can, monitor the progress of this over time.
that's right, Julian. And imagine an incident should happen. We don't want it, but these things do happen. The insurance provider is going to ask you for proof that you had these various controls and policies in place all year round that would have prevented it. So how are you going to prove it? By using ProtechSuite and doing the assessment and having the policies all tracked in the application, you can show without a doubt that yes, you did have these controls in place. So there's no question about what you were doing. It's all well documented and organized. So, Julian, we were talking earlier about organizations as part of trading partner relationships getting things like SOC 2 certification or ISO 27001, or maybe even NIST or a customized NIST. How can MSPs offer this type of service? It's not always their bread and butter, it's not always their expertise. So what we did with ProtechSuite is we made it very easy and step by step to help MSPs get their clients SOC 2 or ISO or whatever the case may be. And I want to take a few minutes to show you how it would actually work. Let's take SOC 2, for example, which is very popular in North America. As soon as you open up ProtechSuite, we have what we call an evidence request list. Now, when it comes to SOC 2, it's one thing to have all your policies, controls, and best practices in place, but at the end, you need to be formally audited by a CPA, a certified accountant. And they're going to ask for certain pieces of evidence to prove that you are as secure as you say you are. Now, that evidence list is baked right into ProtechSuite, and so we show it to you all here. So there's no guesswork about what type of evidence you need to provide. They can ask for things such as, give me a sample of access review reports. You need to be doing access reviews. Or show me that you have a policies and procedures handbook. All these various things. So step one, we've told you what we need to collect. In step two, where possible, we have our automated evidence collection engine to pull in evidence where possible. So for example, if you need to show evidence to your auditor that you have access reviews, our automated evidence collection engine pulls this information in, attaches it as evidence, and here's the key. At the end of the process, you invite the auditor to come in, and they can review all within ProtechSuite and have comments back and forth. So all the audit is the material, all the audit materials are tracked right here, and it's very quick and easy for an organization to get their SOC 2 certification because we've provided all the resources. Okay, let's go here. Okay, so when we pick a framework, it's very common that an organization may need SOC 2 or maybe ISO or CIS or a NIST or a customized version of NIST. Many of these frameworks have their own unique features, but they also have many parts that overlap. Some of the things that overlap are various organization policies, controls, and risks. Now, for an organization that doesn't have any of that foundation, it can be daunting. And even for an MSP, well, they may think to themselves, well, I don't have these formalized policies to offer. I can't provide this service. But that's where ProtechSuite will walk the MSP through step by step to provide this service to their clients. And at J-SAS, we want to make sure that you are successful offering this. So we will go through with you to make sure that you and your client are successful. So let's talk about policy lifecycle management for a moment. With several frameworks, they're going to want to be sure that you have several policies in place. This is just a sample, but we do have the full list available. So when it comes to policies, you can either bring your own, use our fully stocked library, or a combination of the two. So for example, one of the policies that would be required is the employee handbook. We provide this complimentary with a subscription to ProtechSuite. By clicking on the employee handbook, we pull up a PDF that has the policy right here ready to go. We also have the features to have a policy owner and approver, meaning that the policy approver will get a notification to say, approve this policy for the organization. So now we have the policy in place, but that's not enough. Julian, it's one thing for me to tell you that we have this employee handbook, but if the employees aren't reading it, then what's the point of the whole exercise? Now, here's where
Who's
the
the
magic
handbook?
comes in. We can assign this policy or all of the policies to one or many employees. And what that means is that they will all get a notification sent to their email that says, hey, Julian, you have the employee handbook policy to review for this year. It will then prompt you to log into ProtechSuite, review this, and then declare that you did it. At that point, we are tracking employee engagement with the policy. And now here's where all of it is, that documentation piece and doing what we said we were doing. First, we have a policy, the employee handbook. It has been approved by the manager or partner or business owner, and it has been reviewed by all of the employees. In this case, it's been reviewed by 50% of the employees. So right away, you can offer that value-added service of saying, hey, Julian, your employees have only half of them have accepted this policy or reviewed this policy. You need to go follow up. And now it's not just enough to say, go follow up. Follow up with who? This is where you can extract as PDF and get full engagement reports that talk about who has and who has not reviewed, extract as PDF, send it over email, and then I can say, hey, Julian, you know what? Ryan has not reviewed all of the policies assigned to him. Why don't you go talk to him and ask him to review?
Great.
Another way that MSPs can use ProtechSuite to really move and drive compliance with an organization is with our company controls. Just like with policies, we have our full library of all of the controls that you will need for any of those frameworks. So bring your own, use ours or a combination, and have a fully stocked inventory of controls. Let's take inventory of control of enterprise assets just as an example. Your auditor is going to want to see, and maybe even if it's not a framework that needs to be audited, but for say SOC 2 or NIST or CIS, you need to have these controls in place. So we provide them all to you. And on top of that, you need to not just have it, but show that they are working from time to time. So you need to assess them and review them. That process of that assessment or doing an audit, as they say, on these controls is what's important. So not only do we give you the controls, but we provide you with the infrastructure to do an audit, to declare that, yes, this control is working on every 4 months, maybe we check this, or maybe every day, depending on what it is. And you can record all of that. That recording is all the evidence that you're going to need to show that, yes, you are giving your clients the best in class frameworks of NIST or CIS, or if it needs to be formally audited, your auditor can review this evidence as well. It's all about providing evidence, but the infrastructure and the policies and controls and everything to go along with it. Now, Julian, the risk module is something that I'm really excited about because we have just launched some great new functionality that are really going to make MSPs stand out from the rest. So, with any framework, you need to have a risk registry. What risks apply to my organization? Now, there can be an endless universe of risks. So, just like before, we've given you a library to help you get started, but you can also supplement that with any of your own. This can be things like system downtime, data loss, data breaches. We have one for AI usage in the workplace, anything and everything that you think could pose a risk to your organization. Let's use system downtime just as an example. So we have a description of what system downtime means, and we do a risk assessment. Now, a risk assessment is simply judging what is the likelihood and impact of this happening, of this risk happening. And in the case of system downtime, If we did nothing, just the inherent risk of this would be quite high. There's a high likelihood and there's a high impact. So it's quite the danger to the organization. So that's step one. Next, we take you through the journey of what to do next. How do you want to treat this? In risk management, there's a process of when you have a risk, you either want to mitigate it, transfer it, accept it, or eliminate it. And so notice how we're prompting you to go through those formalized processes. It doesn't become an academic exercise, but you end up becoming that much more knowledgeable in the process. So in this case, we want to mitigate the risk. How do we do that? With the controls that we just talked about. So now you see how it's all coming together. We had our policies, we had our controls. You do that to eliminate risks to an organization. So to mitigate system downtime, we have controls like data protection, malware defenses, data recovery, and a result of those activities, the likelihood and impact of this risk has been lowered. So it's gone from a red to a low. So right away, MSPs can see that, can show their clients this value add. Notice how all of this is built in already, right? This doesn't have to be created from scratch. And you've taken them on a very formalized risk management compliance journey, all within the one application with a couple of clicks. And the services that J-SAS provide to our MSPs, we help walk you through this. So you're not alone in this, but you'll notice as I've been going through, it's just a few clicks to set up a fully functioning compliance program.
Yeah,
Now,
what's
I
really
promise,
cool about this, if I can jump in there, Ryan, it's it's kind of like shows you how all the various activities, right? Um, how they're all connected. Sometimes you do A, B, C, and D of these things, but how does it impact the overall risk, and to what degree? So you've done the algorithm. I'm assuming that here's if you did this, this, and this, it can reduce it from a high to a or a low risk. So now you actually can see in real time, what the impact is of doing these various activities, right?
that's exactly right. And here's the functionality that I love the most. We have just launched some enhanced reporting capabilities, and you'll see a generate report button here, and you'll see the generate executive report button here. These are fantastic reports that we have just started offering our clients. What these reports do is make work visible to all the interested parties. It makes it visible to your clients, and your clients are able to show it to their perhaps boards, their owners, their investors, whatever the case may be. And this is what it does. When you generate that executive report, we generate you a multi-page report, likely no less than 10 pages, about what is inherent risk anyways? What is residual risk? And then how does all of that feed in? So Julian, I want to show you about executive reports. This is a fantastic new feature that we have started offering our clients as of this week. So what it does is you click on that report and it will generate a Word document for you for either the MSP or your client. That alone is important because you can edit it in whatever way you want. Now let me show you what the report looks like. With the click of a button, we've generated a 10-page report for MSPs or their clients or whomever needs to see it, the interested parties. And it talks about what is an inherent risk anyway? What is a residual risk? What is risk classification? We may not be risk experts. MSPs may not be risk experts. They may think to themselves, I work in Azure. I provide MFA and email functionality and that type of thing. This isn't my expertise. Well, we are making it your expertise just with a few clicks of a button. With this report, we've generated it to show what is the inherent risk specific to this client. It's not general information. This is all dynamic based on what risks exist to your specific client. We talk about an inherent risk. We talk about residual risks. We talk about what are the risks impacting the organization. Do you need to review them? And additional resources to help your clients continue with their risk mitigation strategies. It's a phenomenal report that adds so much value to MSPs with just a couple clicks of a button.
Interesting. But I mean, that's one of the things that people need to do, right? They basically need to tell their clients or show their clients like what all this stuff means, because most people don't understand this. This is not their day job, right? And to them, they understand certain risks, of course, but they don't understand cybersecurity and the issues around that to any great degree. So being able to explain to them in simple terms and graphics and words, kind of makes a lot of sense. So very, very cool. Very nice report.
Right. And you know what? A lot of this reporting and structure It actually builds on the skill sets that MSPs have already today, fortifying infrastructure, putting in best practices. What this really does is put it in a structured way to show that, yes, we are following industry best practices. When I fortify your infrastructure in such a way, it's because we are following NIST best practices or CIS best practices. This is the requirement in NIST that we're aligning to, and this is why it's important to you. So we're showing a lot of that value add to not just based on the MSP's experience that these are best practices, but these are industry-wide best practices that are tried and true. So we're really giving that ability to have MSPs show their value to their clients. I want to show you another great piece of functionality here, the risk exposure matrix. Here is that great graphical view of what we just saw. So it's one thing to have it all written down, but show me something that's easy to digest. These are the graphs that make it easy to share with your clients that talk about the risks impacting their organization. So that risk matrix, we can see how many risks exist in the organization. And the idea is without doing anything, we may well have very high likely risks that are catastrophic to the organization. As a result of putting in those controls and policies that we provide to you and align to, the idea is to drive risk down. So from this risk high red area, driving it down as close to green as we can get. So this is the inherent risk. After putting in the various controls into place, notice how the number has dropped to 0, and we're pushing the risk's likelihood and severity down in the organization. This is what we want to show. This is where that power is. This is where MSPs can show that your organization had a high degree of risk before my involvement. Based on the tools, based on the frameworks that I have implemented, we've driven risk down. We've making you more solidified. We've improved your cybersecurity posture. And if necessary, if funding is there, you've shown your investors that you are that much more secure and trustworthy with that investment. I want to show you privileged access management. This is something that MSPs are very familiar with, but it's doing it in that categorized, systematic way that is really powerful for showing that these things are happening for the purposes of compliance. If an MSP or a customer needs to do privileged access reviews, so this is going to all of your systems and making sure that who has access, they should have access, or if they shouldn't anymore, their access is removed. It's the concept of only having access to what you need access to. So in order to do that today, in a traditional sense, you would have to log into each and every application that you use. So say Zoom, Microsoft Teams, Outlook, maybe Canva, QuickBooks, whatever the case may be. You're doing this again and again and again for every client. It can be very time consuming. What we've done through our connectors, our cloud connectors, is pull all of that into a single view, a single pane of glass. So you can do it all one at a time, we can do it all from one screen and take maybe 10 minutes per client per month. So we've gone from taking this hours and hours per client to maybe 10 minutes per month per client. It's very fast. We pull in all of their cloud applications and you can do your privileged access user reviews right from here. You click on any of the cloud applications, it will show you the list of users, and then you can record your audits. As an extension of that, this is where the MSPs can really show their value again. MSPs are often used to working in Azure. However, the thing about Microsoft Azure is that many of the screens you need to get to, such as Intune, such as Defender, they're all in their different verticals. They all speak to security and compliance, but it's hard to piece it all together. So what we've done is we've pulled in a lot of that feature set under the envelope or umbrella of compliance and put it into something that makes sense. So for example, with our M365 Identity Dashboard, we have deep integration with Microsoft, and at a glance, we can show you how your client's Microsoft footprint is behaving with respect to compliance. So for example, we can show you who are all of your users. Are they inactive? Do you have any expired certificates? You can click on any one of these to see more information, and where necessary, get right into Microsoft to take action. Another great feature about this is the generate report functionality. So when you click this, a report is automatically generated for an MSP. That's so powerful and easy to share with your clients. It talks about all of the all of the issues that may have been found in Microsoft. So for example, we'll tell you if we found users that don't have MFA enabled. We'll tell you how many we found, why is MFA critical, and what you can do about it. So right away, any of those risk vectors that were identified is all put into this multi-page report that you can then share with your client. And that's relevant because you can say, hey, based on my analysis, I found all of these issues and I'm going to resolve it all for you. Now, behind the scenes, this was all collected through our Microsoft Azure connector. So you set it up once, it pulls back the data automatically, which allows you to then automatically generate these reports. So you can share it without doing any work at all, what was found in the customer environment, and then you can do your traditional work of resolving it for them. It's so powerful and it gives that great insight to your client and really shows the value that you are providing them because you're not only providing the service, but now you're educating them in the process. And when you do that, you become more trustworthy and they want to stay with you for that much longer.
Nice. Definitely MSPs can leverage this all day long, right? This is a great opportunity to demonstrate to them that they're, sometimes you've got this, you've got these postures set up in your company, but like, how do you know if it's working? Like, what's in there? You can't kind of guess it. How do we know how many people are using two-factor or not, right? And it's really cool to generate it in a report that you can actually share. So it's a very, very, very simple, quick way. I like it.
Julian, I've walked you through more in depth about how MSPs could utilize ProtechSuite to really launch compliance with their clients. And remember, it's not just necessarily SOC 2 or ISO, but it can be more of those familiar frameworks such as NIST or CIS. And I want to point out here, we briefly touched on this, but we didn't talk about it. Based on my industry interviews and going to trade shows and talking to technology executives, what we often find in talking to MSPs, what we often find is that yes, NIST does exist, yes, CIS does exist, but it's not uncommon for organizations to customize it a little bit based on their industry or based on their own organization. Now, this is where the customizability comes into play, and we don't force MSPs to follow our frameworks and our processes. We allow a lot of customization. So if you want to follow NIST, then just like we showed you before, you can go through that NIST assessment and show where any gaps are and address it accordingly. However, if you want to load your own customized NIST or your customized ISO, or maybe blend them all together and make your own framework, which by the way is very value added for MSPs to do, the best in class that merges multiple into one, you can add a customized framework right here. And just like we saw in the other areas, it can walk you through that assessment, do automated evidence collection just by the fact of you setting it up. So it's very easy for you to operationalize what you may be doing offline or in spreadsheets, and then create those fantastic reports I showed you, and then ultimately make your clients more secure and stick with you longer. This is one of those value-added services that you can really give to them to improve their cybersecurity overall.
Got it. Look, the bottom line here is that a lot of MSPs, they need to go down this path, right? This is where everybody's headed. And the question is how? And maybe the simple question is when. So if not now, well, we'll see. But in reality, it's always the how to do these things becomes the overwhelming workload for an MSP. Can I really do it? Do I have the skills to do it? I just want to double click on one thing. Dropping this in front of an MSP, I think they kind of get the gist of it, right? But I heard you correctly that you're actually walking with them, right? You're helping them through the process to make them transfer knowledge and the skills so they can become, better and stronger at this platform. Just walk me through a little bit about how, you engage with the MSP to help them go from not knowing anything about this platform to being a rock star, a superstar, as you say.
And that's exactly right. So it's critically important to us that the MSPs are successful in this, and not even the MSPs, but the end client as well. We want to make sure that this is a function that is operated well. So what that means is that we will join MSPs in client meetings, if they would like us to. So we can do those demos with you, to show how this can be operationalized to get any of these frameworks. So we'll go to those meetings. And then when the client is on board, and by the way, what often happens is that a client may be trying to close a deal. And then at the very last minute, someone will speak up and say, by the way, do you have SOC 2 certification? By the way, what framework do you align yourself to? And that's when things start to go off the rails. It's one thing to provide these services to clients, but if you can't prove it, and if you can't show that you are aligned to some framework, that's when the deal can start unraveling. And that is why we made ProtechSuite to allow you to bring up these frameworks very quick and easy to really show that you have been doing this all along. Or if there are any gaps that you can close them very quickly. So we go with MSPs to client meetings and we walk through how to do it. So in an example with say SOC 2, we'll know right away, okay, they want SOC 2. We then give that evidence request list to say this is all the things you need to collect. We will help set up the connectors that pull back all that information automatically. And then we'll work with the MSPs to show them the policy library, the control library, the risk library that says, okay, for a SaaS organization or a dental clinic or a law firm, these are the policies that would apply to them. You can import them and then go through the process just like I showed. Now, the fact that we're walking you through it to help you get set up with your first few clients, it's a very repeatable process. We designed this to be very quick and easy to do. So once we show you a few times, MSPs are very well capable of getting up and running and doing this themselves. And as I said, we want you to be successful. So if there's any questions along the way, we're right there to help you continue operationalizing it. But we've given you all the resources. It's a matter of just clicking some buttons, getting the approvals in, and then the frameworks will take care of the rest. It will make sure that you are showing compliance against any of these frameworks.
Right on. Look, it's like it's kind of like almost the glue, the one dashboard where you can pull everything together and sort of understand how to orchestrate, all this various compliance issues. And for you've got the cyber insurance there, which is really, really cool, which is a big pain point these days for everybody, for end customers particularly, because to get insurance, you've got to go through the process to figure out, are you compliant? Are you able to collect if there's a problem, right? And being able to prove it. So great stuff for an MSP.
That's
Anything
right.
else you wanted to show us on the platform?
I do want to show you something else. So more more recently in the news, there's much more of a desire and push for Canadian organizations to diversify around the world. Let's explore any partnerships we have, not just in the United States, perhaps, but also Mexico, the UK, the EU. All of those jurisdictions or geographies have their different frameworks that they like to follow. So, for example, SOC 2 is very much North American, ISO is very much UK, GDPR is in the EU, and the list goes on. The nice thing is that if you do the work for one of these frameworks, there's a lot of overlap with the others. Now, what we designed ProtechSuite to do is utilize the work that you did in one and apply it to all the others wherever we can. So if an organization perhaps has their SOC 2 certification already, we've made it easy where we've already collected the evidence and it makes it that much easier to get your ISO certification. And while you're at it, you can also get GDPR while you're there. And if you want to operate in healthcare in the United States or Canada, we have HIPAA. Or if you want to go to the UK, they have the CQC. So there's frameworks all over the world that we support, and your work in one lends itself to the others. It makes end clients that much more competitive. And as an MSP, you can help your clients get there. You can have a conversation that says, hey, there may be an opportunity for you in the UK, or if a client tells their MSP they want to start operations in the UK, we have frameworks that already support that environment, and you can get them there that much faster. Align with UK frameworks, and it makes going to those sectors that much more credible because they have these certifications.
Love it. Love the fact that you're actually, using a common denominator in terms of all these compliance requirements and, plugging it into all the other frameworks. So at least right, what's missing, and you're not duplicating any work, which is really, really cool. Yeah, love it, man.
Yeah. Thank you. We really tried to make it very easy, quick. We're not using any of the unnecessary bells and whistles. It's get certification or get proof of some framework, get companies cyber secure quickly. with our application. So that's what we try to do, and we make sure MSPs are successful by taking them on that journey. So it's a great value add for them.
Good stuff. Well, wrapping this up here, I mean, look, the reality is that MSPs just need to figure out how they can approach this challenge, right? Of all their clients. One of the cool things about this that we haven't really double clicked on is that it's the one platform that your clients can access, the auditors can access, the people within your company can access for the handbooks and so on. So it's not something that is just one person operating this. It's multiple users and different types of users depending on what they need to do. So it saves a lot of work, is I think what I'm getting down to, and you're avoiding a lot of duplications. I'll leave you with the last word here, Ryan. What do you want MSPs to know? I guess how to become superstars at this game.
I want MSPs to know that with ProtechSuite, we've really laid a map of how they can elevate the compliance journey for their customers and offer a new business model for them to explore. We made it step by step so you can offer compliance to your customers, whether that's SOC 2, NIST, CIS, you name it, your own custom framework. And we've given you the foundation and the tools to do just that. It elevates the game for MSPs and it elevates the cybersecurity for their clients as well.
There you go. And the website is what's JSAS, j-sas.com.
j-sas.com, j-sas.com. That's right.
Got it. All right. So everybody out there, this is the kind of thing that you need to bake around, your entire practice. And I think it just makes everything more, I guess, compact, cleaner. And I think it's going to help MSPs in a lot of ways. You say, make them all into rock stars in the compliance game.
That's right.
Keep us posted, Ryan. Cheers.
Will do. Thanks for having me, Julian.